We're lucky, Chris also, Shockey jumped on for this. So, Chris, you want to give an update on the mock-up? Chris,
Sure. So there's a window in the mock-up, which is great. They're doing a little bit of modification of the mock-up. Yeah, just to kind of get things a little bit more squared away. But if you drive by or stop by, you might see that the window is white. That is not the color we're going with. But for them to get us a window in order to put it in the mock-up, to get it tested, that was the only sample we could get, right? So it is kind of what it is. We can get them to paint the frame to the color that we were talking about, so that we can kind of look at the sealants and things like that. But we've already looked at the sealants next to the color chips that we've already approved for the windows and curtain wall, and all kind of the metal finishes for the building. The curtain wall will be following up shortly, I think in the next week or two. So once they get all of those kind of buttoned up, then they'll be ready for testing, which is the main purpose of those mock-ups. So I think we're moving along on those.
okay.
I think Mark has his hand up.
Yep, question for Mark.
Yeah, Chris, sealant color strategy, is it control joints match the mortar, dissimilar materials like curtain wall to brick matches the curtain wall?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. That's exactly what we were thinking.
Great.
We haven't gotten to the interior sealants yet, but we'll get there. But that's kind of what we were imagining.
All right, Chris Nixon, you want to add anything to this? Because this is kind of your mock-up also. Any other comments?
I was glad Chris Sharkey was able to jump on today, just because I sort of fell out of my chair when Andy sent me the picture and I saw the white frame. But my understanding is, just like they did for the grout, there'll be maybe a couple of different sealant colors that we can look at when those are in and ready to go. And Chris, you were saying to me earlier today, sounds like maybe fingers are crossed when the curtain wall comes, it'll be the right color, but that's not even 100% sure yet. So if that's the case, my only concern is I hope we're not putting windows and curtain wall into the until we've actually been able to kind of look at what arrives on site and verify it against the submittals that were approved.
Yeah, no, they won't be putting anything in that's not correct.
Chris, do we have any concerns with the permanent Windows delivery or anything because of what's going on? No? Okay.
Yeah, no. Those are all set to ship, I think, in middle of December. So I don't see an issue with those.
Okay. Any other questions while we have Chris on? All right. Next item is the generator transformer pads. I know the pad was pre-purchased and installed, and the generator pad was going to be poured last week. Do you know if that happened to get poured? It did.
I believe it got poured. Yep.
All right. That's good update, and we can move on. Next item would be from Brendan, if he's got update on the transformer itself.
I do have I have good news on the transformer, as I had mentioned in our last meeting, that the transformer had been reserved for us, and Eversource is hoping to get that transformer delivered and dropped on the pad this week.
Awesome.
So we can take that off the list of concerns, hopefully in the next week or so. If it doesn't happen this week, don't sweat it. It'll happen next week.
All right.
All right.
Thank you for getting that done.
No problem. Happy to help.
All right. Moving on, transformer, chapter 91 update from Meg.
So it's still in the process. I checked with Niche and they checked in with DEP. It's the public notice is being prepared right now. Once that's published, it's a 30-day comment period. So once that happens, I can let you know, but we have not been notified yet. And then after that 30-day period, it enters into their technical review, which they're allowed 60 days for that. If there's no back and forth, then that would close. So we're looking at, we're still looking at late winter to early spring. So seems to be right on track. It's very slow. DEP is very backed up right now, but it is in motion. So that's good news.
Okay. Any questions for Meg?
Just want to ask, Meg, so we are at the public notice stage, correct? So
We are not there yet. No, that it has not been published yet. It will be published shortly. And then I have not received the public notice yet, so I do not believe we're in. And I just checked online, I didn't see anything.
yeah,
But once that is published, then it's a 30-day comment period.
so at least we have the application number and confirmed they have all the documents. Is that before the public notice, is that the step that would have been taken place? In other words, confirming an application number or something. Like, what is the step that was prior to the public notice, and has it taken place?
Well, it just a status checkup, that's all. By our engineering firm, just to make sure that it was in process. So they have it, they know about it. I don't have the number in front of me, but
Okay,
yeah, but it is moving along.
okay.
Yeah.
Right. Is there any way that we could know the, on the outside, the other bridge the town did, and what was the construction cost? Just curious. Anyway,
What bridge?
the one on the Lake Street.
You want to know the construction cost for
I
that?
mean, was there any kind of relationship with the Chapter 91 work? I don't know, just curious.
We
whether-
went through the Chapter 91 process and it took equally as long,
Yeah,
but we did receive it. But I can tell you exactly how much that project cost. I mean, it's a very different project.
I know, something along the Chapter 91 work, would there be some kind of a learning from that project? That's the only reason that I'm asking.
No, it's a very prescribed process, right? You make your submission and you are told up front, it will take you 9 months to get the permit. So when we enter into the process, we understand that. It has taken longer than that, and it has taken slightly less than that, but you need to really count on a year. And so when you're, you need to just count on that when you're doing your design and engineering.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an unfortunate, reality, but that's what it takes.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. You're welcome.
Okay. Next item, Meg, is the MSBA site visit update.
Oh yeah, that happened today. That went real well. It was our bi-monthly visit by the MSBA, and yeah, then we went on a site walk and they were very impressed. They're actually wondering, they're gonna come out again in 2 months, and then they're wondering if they might not need to come out once a month because things are moving along so quickly. So yeah, went very well. No issues.
Okay. Next is a discussion that we're going for us to have with change orders. A couple of different ways of looking at it. It was brought up, we don't want to itemize and we share all the change orders, and can we rush some through for dollar values that are under a certain amount? Can we put together a working group? Everyone on this committee has a different expertise, from architecture, mechanicals, or whatever. So it's hard to eliminate someone out of it, but if we want to put a small sub, it's not a committee, it's a working group, just so we can meet, get on a call when we have to. And if we wanted to put a dollar limit, that this group would have be able to, so Meg can get stuff approved and move stuff along. I don't know if anyone has any ideas on that. Don, we've done it in the past, and Brendan, people that
Right.
we've done
Right.
it, just to set a limit and move some items around, keeps everything going. So just open for some discussion here. Chris, and then Mark have comments. Chris, go ahead.
Yeah, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yep.
Now we lost you.
Jay, was that shoot? How about now? You hear me?
Yeah.
We cannot hear you.
I may have to jump back in on the cellular connection. You hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
So I think the thinking was that this working group would be kind of a core group of maybe 4 or 5, no more, with the idea then that anybody else is sort of on call, right? So if we need some input from a mechanical engineer, we've got one. We can talk to them. We need input from an architect. We have one. 4 to 5 people, just in case we can only get 3 or 4 together to kind of do a preliminary review. Is that fair, Jay?
That's what I'd say. That's how we did it before. That works. All right. We had Mark and then Brendan now. Mark, you want to comment on this?
Yeah, my comment was going to be similar to Chris's, that I'm happy to be on call, but I don't necessarily need to be on a small group, but happy to answer any questions that would benefit from an architect's input.
Thank you. Brendan?
Thank you. I am happy to be on the group. And I just had a quick question, and maybe Dawn, Jay, or Geeta will remember, but during the high school project and VO projects, we had a dollar value associated with changes that would typically just be reviewed by Meg and then approved and then just brought to the committee. Does anyone recall what that value was?
I think it was pretty small. It was like
Was it
$5,000.
5,000 or 10,000? Okay.
Yeah, it was really small. Yeah.
Okay.
I
So
can,
again, happy-
I'll check. I'll do a scan of of the meeting minutes and see if I can come up with something.
Okay. But I'm happy to be on that working group. Thank you.
All right. Emily?
Yeah, I was just going to volunteer to be on the working group as well, since I write change orders all day, every day. So
Very good.
I'm happy to volunteer, but I'm also
Yeah.
happy if someone else wants to jump in too.
No, that would be great. Hopefully it's not a big task. We just want to get a head start on. Okay. Thank you.
May I add something, Don? I guess the change order comes, I guess what is the workflow would be, are you anticipating that you would first get the feedback from the architect and the OPM of the change orders, correct?
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, it would be the approval process of not
Yeah.
waiting till our next meeting. We'd share it, but try to move stuff along.
Yeah, so when it comes to this so-called working group that you're saying here, at that point, we would see what were the comments from the architect and the OPM, correct?
Correct.
Okay, all right.
It would already be commented and have a price before it got to us.
Yeah,
I would think for approval,
yeah. Mhm. Okay.
so we know the value. Okay. Chris, you want to add to that? All right.
Nope, I just forgot to put my hand down. I had hands on the wheel. Sorry.
All right.
But
Okay.
I'm happy to do it again, Jay.
Yeah. Thank you, Don. That was also all right. So we got a good little group, and we'll reach out when we need. All right. So PSO working group, concrete update, and that's from Chris. I hope we can get a connection.
Yep. Hopefully, can you hear me okay now, guys?
Yeah, you're kind of lagging a little bit.
Let me share my screen. Chris sent around the final article and motion language for the concrete floor, so we could look at that
Okay.
and vote it again. Let's see here. Sorry, I gotta stay here. Oh, there we go. So Chris sent this out about an hour ago. This is the final article and motion language without the dollar amount yet for the concrete floor. We voted last meeting to amend SG&H's contract to do some additional work out there to try to come up with the final number. 1.2 million is the number that the capital planning committee has been carrying, but that number could change a little bit. We have until October 10th, I believe, maybe the 11th, to come up with that. So SG&H knows that they need to get in and finalize that number by then. So if someone wants to make a motion to accept these, both the article and the motion, that would be great.
So moved.
Seconded.
So who moved? I didn't see it. Frank?
That me. Yep.
And second from
Frank.
John.
Okay, Frank. All right, got a roll call. So we got Frank, Lisa,
Yes.
Brendan,
Yes.
and Todd. I saw you jumped on.
Aye.
All right, Geetha,
Yes.
Colleen.
Sorry.
Yes.
Okay. Chris,
Yes.
Mark. Mark. Yep. Richard,
Yes.
Don,
Yes.
and Emily.
Yes.
Okay, so you're all set, Meg.
Okay, great.
And then second part is the funding, the next step. Well, you kind of wrap that together, but is there anything further on that?
No, they are there are amendments in place and they've been given permission to proceed. So they're moving forward with that work.
Okay.
Jay, can I offer something on that if you can hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
So one item that we just wanted to share is there's strong interest in a couple of groups in town in making a contribution towards this project, which would be tremendous. And the consequence of that would be to reduce the amount of free cash we're asking from town meeting. None of this is final yet. The conversations are ongoing, but I'm mentioning it publicly, just given the progress over the past couple of weeks. So folks understand what the deadlines are for motion language, meaning the dollar value, and that's sometime around October 10th. So hopefully at our next meeting, we may have a little more to report on that front.
Okay, thank you.
So Jay, I can share my screen again and we can vote the gymnasium article.
All right.
Okay.
Yep, that's the
Which,
next one. Okay.
Yeah, that's the next one. Mhm. So the article is here before you. It's for the to get additional funding for the high school gym floor. At our last meeting, we had discussed the actual dollar amounts, and that dollar amount remains the same. It could be reduced by any private donation that we get between now and the 10th of October. And it could then later be reduced on the floor of town meeting if necessary, but you see the language here before you. We don't have the motion drafted yet, although I think we do somewhere. I just don't have it
Is
here.
the repair article now on the screen or the gym?
It's this one here.
Okay.
So this one was for the concrete repairs, the article, and this one here, article, we're calling it BB, is for the supplemental funding for the gym floor. Well, the gymnasium, because there's other equipment.
Okay. Any questions for Meg on this? No? Can you get a motion then?
The article, yes. as
I'll
per-
make a motion for Article, what's it, BB?
BB. Yep.
BB for the gym floor.
Thank you, Lisa.
Second.
Second, Geetha.
Yeah.
Okay, Frank?
Aye.
Lisa. Brendan?
I'm an aye.
All right. Todd?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Colleen?
Aye.
Chris? You lose. Follow up, Chris. Mark?
Aye.
Richard?
Yes.
Don?
Yes.
And Emily?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. It's all set. No payments. No payments. And next meetings.
Hey, we have the spending authorization though for Donahue.
Okay.
Can I
Right.
bring that up?
Yeah, why don't you? Yeah, that wasn't on the agenda, right?
I just got in front of my computer just in time. Let me bring that up.
Yes, you did.
Okay. So I'm just going to blow this up and I'll share screen. That's all right.
Yep.
Okay, so this was actually, I think, in the meeting minutes we approved earlier tonight. You guys will recall we've talked a bit about the master plan that was funded at Springtown meeting. I believe it was $145,000 was funded. And our hope was that we would be able to get the UMass Donahue team back to work with us on the front end, the enrollment and demography piece. We're calling that phase one. Our hope was that that would be happening in the fall, and that we would then be able to turn over that information to the architectural team following up with phase two. It took a little bit to actually get them pinned down with the proposal, but we're thrilled that they've agreed to work with us again. This is their economic and public policy research team. It is literally the same team that worked with the district back in 2017. So shared with you guys earlier today their proposal and their timeline, which we think will still work well with the school committee and select board's intent to submit a statement of interest to the MSBA in the next core replacement cycle. That cycle actually opens up in January, closes, I believe, in March. So this timeline has them starting in October, working through November. They'd have a final deliverable in December for us. We will now, if we approve this tonight with UMass on board, then we can wrap up the RFP for the balance of the master plan. And have that maybe in draft form for the committee, maybe in the next couple of weeks to review. So if we get a final deliverable from UMass the end of December, the goal will be to have at least a draft master plan in January or February. This is actually what we did the last time we did the master plan update. We submitted statements of interest for Lynch and Morocco when the master plan was maybe 85 or 90% complete. It was in draft form. MSBA was totally okay with that. Kind of gave us a good excuse to circle back with them a couple of months later when the master plan was finished. So what we wanted to ask the committee tonight was to approve not a payment authorization, but a spending authorization not to exceed $24,000 for the UMass Donahue Institute for enrollment and demographic consulting as part of the updated 10-year facilities master plan. That amount of money covers their proposal as well as reimbursable expenses and any data they need to purchase, and still leaves us with plenty of meat on the bone. I think Mark Scott, you and I had talked some months ago about this. We were hoping to leave between 100 and 110 on the table for phase two. This goes beyond that, so I'm really encouraged about that. So yeah, that's the elevator speech. I do wish we maybe were in. I wish we had maybe received this a little earlier, but it was a busy summer for them. One of the things that's very interesting is they have this very team has been rehired by the MSBA to look at their enrollment projection methodology and perhaps come up with something new. So it's pretty exciting
And that is actually taking them a lot of time. That's partly why I think we were a little delayed in getting the proposal. But that's exciting because I think if they come up with something new with the MSBA, the same team that's coming up with that will be working with us. So I think it just, again, lends like some credibility to whatever the deliverable ultimately winds up.
Okay, any questions for Chris?
Seems great.
All
Do we
right,
need a
we need a
motion?
motion. Yes,
So move to approve a spending authorization for up to $24,000 to sign the Donahue Institute on for preparing enrollment study for the district.
I'll second that.
thanks, Brendan. Okay, we'll do our roll call. Frank,
Aye.
Lisa,
Yes.
Todd,
Aye.
Geetha? Geetha?
I said aye.
Okay,
Yes.
sorry. John,
Yes.
Colleen,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
Richard,
Yes.
Don,
Yes.
and Emily.
Yes.
Okay, get that out of the way, thank you. Next item is scheduled meetings. We have October 7th and the 21st, and we're kind of holding open, which would work with the schedule nicely, would be November 4th and the 18th. We'll update that as we go.
Jay, can I just remind everybody that the one, although we focus a lot on Lynch on the first meeting of the month, we will have an important task on the 7th because that's going to be our last meeting before the motions are due for town meeting. So presumably we will have some recommendations from SGH on what we should carry for the project cost for the concrete repair and remediation. So just be
Good.
looking out for that. And if we get something well enough in advance of the meeting, we'll be forwarding that to everybody.
Okay, good.
Good.
We had also talked about having a site meeting, and Hill and Brait both are offering up November 4th. So if that is a date that we want to try to schedule, we should think about having it earlier, maybe around 4 p.m.
Okay.
So that there's still some daylight. And yeah, I mean, we'll need to know, so that we can give them notice and they can have, and make sure everything's, safe for everybody and well lit. So we
Okay.
can decide tonight, but we should decide at our next couple meetings.
Okay, so it'd be the 4th and like a 4 p.m. walk, and then like a 5 o'clock meeting in the trailer or something like that?
Yeah, then we can go into the trailer and meet.
Okay,
Do we think we'll have temporary power by then?
Well, they already have temporary power.
Oh, I
Right.
thought that hadn't happened yet. Okay.
they don't have
Yeah.
enough, they don't need they don't have enough temporary power to,
Oh.
to, to temp out the building, but
But they have lights, they have,
Yeah.
they have,
Okay.
it looks good at 5 a.m. It's got just enough glow going on when I check it.
Is that when you want it? Is that when you want to have the meeting, Jay?
Mhm.
That'd be great. Yeah, before work.
Hey.
Have you checked the train station? I came back from a trip on Thursday night, and I think they had all the lights on at the Winchester Center train station. And I think from the space station, you can see the center of town.
Yeah,
So poorly lit. I mean, the light trespass is unreal. It's like Mystic Valley Parkway right now. There was a pilot that when it was originally done the first time, he said that he would use that the Mystic Valley Parkway lights as on his approach into Logan coming from Chicago because it was so wildly lit.
yep.
Guess one
was,
other thing, the temporary power, I guess, Jay and Meg, is there a different meter that would track all the power? Remember the high school? Oh my God, we had zillion of meetings to go back and retrack the meter
Yeah,
reading.
Brait owns all the power, so.
Okay.
Well, it was like Ambrose when Ambrose was under construction, or we were doing the temporary trailers one morning, like really, really early in the morning. I swung back there to check on progress, and I surprised an unsuspecting Winchester police officer, and I scared him half to death.
Yeah.
I had to get out of my car to actually tell him that I wasn't following up on him. I was just checking on construction progress in the back of the building.
Yep.
Good sleeping
People
space.
that walked by the Parkers, it's looking good, right? On the curbing and the stone and with the rain, I guess, and the Lynch temporary. Okay, I know the Parkers. Yeah.
Right,
Right.
counting bricks at the middle school.
Yep. And lentils,
Yeah, exactly.
missing lentils. Okay, anyone else? We're doing good on our schedule.
Good.
A motion to adjourn 6:34.
Motion
Second.
Chris. Geetha. Okay,
Second.
Frank?
Aye.
All right. Lisa?
Yes.
Brendan?
Aye.
Todd?
Aye.
Geetha? John?
Aye.
Colleen?
Yes.
All right, Mark? Okay, Richard?
Yes.
Thank you. Don?
Yes.
And Emily.
Yes.
All right, thank you, everyone.
Thank you, John.
Have a
Have a
good
good
evening.
night.
Thanks, everyone. Have a
Guys,
great night.
Okay.
Good night.